Welcome to Faith in Sports. Hello, I'm your host, Rick Bowles, and my co-host is James Carnell. Our producer is JB. Faith in Sports will be highlighting coaches, student athletes, and all things SAGU athletics. SAGU is a Christian university located right here in the heart of Waxahachie, and our athletic program is part of the Sooner Athletic Conference in the NAIA. And we are happy to have one of our own alumni sponsoring this endeavor. VCR Now is a technology organization that can fulfill all your LED audio, video, lighting needs, whether it's at a sports stadium, arena, house of worship, or your business. James Carnell, well,
yes.
We had some interesting football games yesterday.
We did.
Did you watch any of them?
Actually, I watched both of them.
Did you?
I did.
And your wife, Ginger, was yelling at you to do some work, even though it was Sunday.
Actually,
and you just ignored her, right?
She was packing, so she was fine.
Yeah.
She actually had the game on in the bedroom where she was packing. And
didn't you tell me off air that you got her out of your hair? Is that how you put it?
No. She got me out of her hair by turning the game on. It's kind of like babysitter for adults. She turns the game on, I'm glued.
Well, I predicted both wrong.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I predicted San Francisco and Cincinnati.
So I did not. And the reason is because, so two things. I figured both games were going to be close. I figured they were kind of evenly matched. Taking out the injury to Brock Purdy and then the backup, that was
interesting.
You can't plan that, right? I mean, but I personally gut feeling was that San Francisco would have to play their A+ game to beat Philly, just because of the Jalen Hurts, factor. And but when Brock Purdy got hurt their first series, I'm like, yeah, it's all over.
I saw a video of him going to the sidelines after they brought him back in, and he came back out and was talking to Coach, and he was mouthing, "I can't throw the ball."
Yeah,
couldn't grip it.
He said he didn't have any feeling from his forearm, elbow down. So it was, that's you can't play.
So we have to have a prediction for the Super Bowl.
Okay. So I figured the second game was going to be close. I really didn't. I knew it was going to come down to a last drive, and it did. And Mahomes just happened. But you hate to have it on that defense. It was number 57, 58, who personal foul on Mahomes. I mean you just can't do that. But there he goes. In the Super Bowl, my predictions are it's going to come down to the wire. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling that, I don't know, I just feel like Mahomes has been there before. I don't know. That's going to be the it factor for me. Jalen Hurts, I think, is a great player. I think Philly's got a good team overall. I think it's going to be a good, close game. And edge goes to Kansas City, all things considered, if there's no injuries or whatever.
Well, I'm not a big Philadelphia fan.
I am not either.
But
no.
If we're predicting who's going to win, I'm going to go with Philadelphia, mainly because Hurts played for Alabama, where my wife is from, and Oklahoma, where I'm from. So I got to support.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's
though
also
I don't
a Texas
care
kid.
For Philadelphia. Yeah.
Texas kid.
So I'm going to go Philadelphia 37, Kansas City 34.
Wow.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah?
Mark it down.
All 37. Right. Well, it's recorded. It's for posterity.
That's true.
Sake.
That's true.
Okay, here's my prediction. It is going to be Kansas City winning the game 28-21.
All right. We've got it recorded. Well, we have several games at SAGU here in Waxahachie coming up this week.
Yeah.
So, James, kind of give us an overview of what we can expect if the weather provides and helps us.
If we don't have the snowpocalypse 2 or icepocalypse 2 hit us, we'll see. We do have several games. Women and men's basketball will host conference games against John Brown University coming up Thursday night at 6 and 7:45 p.m. respectively. These are always great games to attend. We'd love for you to come out and check them out. Also, Saturday, the women and men will host Oklahoma City University at 2 and 3:45 p.m. respectively. The men won both of their games last week against the University of Science and Arts of Oklahoma and Texas Wesleyan on this past Saturday. The women dropped both of their games, unfortunately.
They're kind of in a rebuilding year.
They are.
They've had a couple of years here, and they're making some good improvements, though.
Yeah, the women's program's definitely coming along, and so we'll hope to see that improvement. What about baseball?
Well, Sagu baseball continues, and our head coach is our guest today, so we will discuss their opener in a few minutes. As the Lions host Sterling College.
Will host.
This Friday,
Correct. Yeah.
at noon for a doubleheader, and then on Saturday they will be at it again at noon.
I remember those cold days in February playing baseball when I was back in the day, right? And I'll never forget, I was center fielder. I hated catching those long fly balls. It was like your hand shattered when the ball hit. It was just.
I forgot to. Matt is our guest today, and you'll meet him in a second. But I forgot to let you know that he's going to talk all about his baseball exploits.
Glory days. Glory days.
So we have to watch the clock.
There's no video evidence from back in those days, so I can make it up all that I want, right? So, yeah, but no, I'm excited to have you, Coach, and talk about everything that's going on. So it's a lot of exciting things. Softball also will start their season this Friday. Their doubleheader will be at Waxahachie Sports Complex at noon. They will host Ecclesia.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, that too. Saturday will be a doubleheader as well at noon, so depending on the weather, great opportunities for Friday and Saturday to watch baseball and softball. You can go to sagulions.com for updates and weather information and all the games action. So check it out, sagulions.com. Also, you can go purchase your tickets online for these games at sagu.edu/sports tickets. That's right. Sagu.edu sports tickets.
It's fun to be talking about baseball because my mind goes to warmer weather, even though it is almost February. But it will get warmer before it gets. No, it's going to get colder.
It's going to get colder.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
No,
but just thinking of baseball makes you think of warmer weather.
It does. Spring training. Yeah.
Our special guest this week is Coach Matthew Cornacchione. I always mess up your name?
Cornacchione. It really just depends on
where you're from,
which part of the family you ask.
That's why I call you Coach Matt.
Coach Matt's fine. But we've grown up as Cornacchione, but my dad's brother was Cornacchione.
Really?
Yeah. So when people anytime there's like "ka" and a pause, it's like, oh, okay, that's me. You know? So Coach,
as long as you get called to dinner, you're good.
Exactly.
Right? Well, welcome to the show. And before we go too far into getting to know you, tell us about this past weekend and your opening season doubleheader with Avila. Is that how you say it? Avila?
I think it's Avila.
Okay, Avila University.
Avila.
Where are they from, by the way?
Kansas City.
Okay, so tell us about this past weekend.
We were able to take 3 or 4. We played 2 very tight games, 2 extra inning games. Supposed to play 4 7-inning games. Ended up playing second game extras, and we ended up losing 2-1. And then game 3, we ended up coming back from 6-3 and won 7-6. Bryce Collins had a walk-off, and game 4 we had 4 great pitching outings. I mean, it's the strength of our team, and it showed this weekend. And we weren't surprised by that, but we had 4 great pitching outings. Took a little bit to get the bats going. Bats basically woke up, I'd say, midway through game 3, and I like what we saw. We saw what we expected to see. We rolled out 4 different lineups. We had a lot of people get opportunities, and our guys competed well. So we're happy with where we're at. We're not satisfied with where we're at, because there's more to do. But we felt like it was a good start, and we were happy. I'm glad it was 55 and not 32 like it is right now.
Yeah. So is it normal to do that many games starting the non-conference season, or is it just you get them here, you might as well play as many as you can kind of idea?
Well, NAI has gone from 55 to 50 varsity contests a year, and so for us, it's changed a little bit in terms of the midweeks. And most of our weekend series leading up to, in past years, are 4-game sets. But this year, this is the only 4-game set, and then it goes to 3-game sets, with the exception of the Mount Marty Tabor weekend. So we have 2 teams coming down the weekend after we get back from. We're taking a California trip to Vanguard.
That's right.
Coming up here, and not this weekend, next weekend. So we come back from there, and then we're hosting Tabor and Mount Marty. So that's gonna be an interesting situation in itself. But for the most part, we've gone to 3-game sets, and we've backed off a couple midweeks. 50 or 55 games, it's still a lot of baseball.
Still a lot of baseball.
Yeah, but I'd say 4 games. I like 4 games because what we were able to do this weekend is see a good part of our roster, and we have a lot of talented pitchers and a lot of talented position players who 100% deserve to be on the field and get opportunities in game. And we were able to play a lot of our guys, and we didn't really get anywhere in determining who's who, because I think we performed pretty well overall, and we still are. And I don't know if we'll ever get to the point where these are our guys. It's just like it's going to be these are our guys this weekend, and then the next weekend some other guys could step up, or depending on matchups and those kind of things. But we have a good roster, and we have good depth, and so we got to see a good amount of that. And it kind of makes it, from a team perspective, with the way we coach and the NAI reentry rules, we use a lot of guys every single game, and we're trying to utilize those to our advantage.
Well, you kind of answered this next question, but maybe go into a little more depth. So anything particular stands out in your mind of what you learned this time around, maybe, or even any players? I know you don't necessarily want to highlight too many players, but anything that you found out this weekend that maybe you didn't know before.
Well, it's funny. We've inter-squatted the last 2 weekends, whether it's been pretty favorable, and we, just like most college baseball programs, we do radar gun and that kind of stuff, and I think just the intensity was a little bit down during inter-squad, and so I was like, well, what's up with our velocity? It's not where it was in the fall. And then this weekend we had a couple guys back to right where they usually are, 87, 89 miles an hour. And, even one guy was a huge surprise, Reagan Smith. Reagan Smith is coming off, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to disclose via, I guess it's HIPAA or FERPA or. Had
some issues with his health.
Yeah, so he's had health issues, and he missed all last year. All I'll say is significant health issues.
Yeah.
And, he came out and he didn't even give up a hit until the 5th inning. And myself and, pitching coach Bartosh, Cliff called me yesterday. He's like, hey, I didn't know Reagan's first hit he gave up was the one right before we pulled him up. So he gave one hit and then we pulled him out of the game. But, Reagan's velocity was way up. You think about where he was a year ago, and he's at 89 this weekend. And as a redshirt freshman, he's physically way different than he was 2 years ago, and he's really worked. He's really developed, and we're super proud of him, and it's a great story.
Great story. We won't get into it here, but maybe some point we'll bring him in and interview him, because God really worked some special things through his health. So I'm excited. I didn't know if he was going to get to come back, so I'm excited.
People ask me, they're like, oh, so like he's like done, like basically like he's like a charity case. I'm like. It's like, no, he's still good. Like in the fall, it's like he's good, man.
Surgery well.
He looks better. He looks better. I think he looks better this fall than he did when he came. I'm telling you, he's functioning at 100%, and I'm, we're super proud of him. He's a great story. I will say this at the end of the game, we gave him a game ball and stuff. I said, Reagan, I'm going to say nice things about you, but don't you relax.
Yeah.
And don't you settle.
Don't let it go to your head.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But he's not that kind of kid, but it's,
awesome.
It's a fun stand.
That's a good story, though.
Yeah.
That's
so
exciting.
Do you have many returners from last year?
I think we return. I mean, like I said, we typically utilize our roster every single game. So I got a lot of guys with in-game experience. I think going in this year, we had about 8 returners in the field, but we had lost. Last year. We lost Ben Bills, who was a 4-year guy for us. We lost Teco, who was Luis Salazar, who was a 2-year guy for us, and Sonny Boyd, who was he started for me the first year I took over the program, and he's kind of been a staple of the program. And Logan Mann was a huge guy for us in the bullpen. Logan Mann was, he pitched in more games at SAGU than, I think he led the conference in appearances. He has the school record in games pitched. So we lost some key players, but we returned a good amount too. We've returned our top 2 starting pitchers, and Ethan and Michael, and those guys are regarded as 2 of the best pitchers in the country, to be honest with you. If you ask any team in our arc, between the Sooner, the KCAC, and the Red River Conference, everybody knows those 2. So we have high expectations going in, and we did add some talented players and good athletes and good arms, and getting guys like Rakin back healthy too is another guy in that. So we feel good about where we're at from a roster perspective for sure.
Well, tell us a little bit about your history, how you got here, what's a little bit of your background, and why you chose to come to Saga.
Yeah, it's funny, like choice. I don't know if it's I don't even know if I'd describe it as a choice. I would say in my career, it's been like so blatantly obvious that this was the right move, and in my first job as well. But we were in my wife's ultrasound for my youngest Cade, and we knew that where we were, which was New York City area, was not a sustainable thing for us family-wise, and we were looking for opportunities, and we were looking for things. We're like, hey, where can we afford to live, and where can this be a kind of simpler situation to raise our family? And so we applied for the job, and Dr. Gunning sends me a text, and I had grown up, Assembly's God background, and I like there's like 2 or 3, I'm probably 2, 3, maybe 4 Assembly's God churches in Pittsburgh, and so when I applied, I made sure that was evident that I had a background, a Pentecostal background and familiarity with the school. And so Dr. Godding sent me a text, and it just turned out that he happened to be driving through New Jersey. And so we met up a couple days after I applied and talked for a couple hours. And then I'd say a month after we talked, we ended up moving to Texas. So, and for us, for me personally, and when I was at Naya College, like that job just kind of God's ordained, like it was like God's timing here. It was coaching in the conference, was sports information director in the conference, and Naya's job was sports information and coaching. So it's like right place, right time, and God directing our path, and we're super grateful to be here. And like I think this is a great place to raise a family, coach baseball. Being in the South, like being in the South is just it's like we talk about cold here, like cold there is different story. Like we go out, if it was 35 degrees, we go out and hit BP.
Yeah.
And we just say, hey, we're just
kind of used to it, right? Not used to it, but
I never liked it.
Yeah.
It was always terrible.
Yeah.
But you just kind of accept your fate that it's going to be bad.
It never feels good on your hands.
It never feels good.
No.
And your hands constantly splitting and that kind of stuff. It's fun, but
Oh yeah. Yeah, brings back fun. That's why I love spring training in Florida.
Yeah,
my family loves to do those trips.
Yeah,
that's a fun
that
trip.
That was a staple for every northeastern school. Was like, where are you going in Florida?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So, but yeah, that's just kind of part of it.
So love. I've actually loved baseball. Baseball is what I grew up on. Love it. The whole 9 yards. And so I'm probably more fond of baseball than any other sport when it comes down to it. So I loved watching and seeing what you guys are doing with the program, because my son came here back in 15 and played a couple of years, and so we just stayed in touch with the program, seeing what's going on. So it's exciting to see what you're doing. I mean, it really is, because it's just I think the SAGU baseball is on the map. I mean, I don't think that's a any kind of a shock to anybody, but it's really a cool thing to see what you guys are doing in the program. So when you're drafting, when you're recruiting and all this, what are you looking for in players? I mean, because we didn't talk about the numbers, but you have a lot.
Yeah, we have a size,
quite a few.
Yeah, I think baseball college rosters in Texas is a little bit different outside Division One. I think in terms of, I think we're 70-ish right now.
70,
you have a development
players.
Yeah, we have
team
a developmental team.
Yeah.
But if you even talk to Division Twos, Division Two coaches and other NAIs in Texas and Florida, it's very, very normal. And I think about it, and I don't want to say every good thing we have, but there's been a ton of positives as our roster's grown. And everything from what we've been able to fundraise to what we've been able to accomplish to, I think for us, in terms of what we look for, it's recruitment, but it's also retention and development. We are not at a point where we are going out and signing all these Division I transfers. We got to get guys with on-level talent. We got to retain them. We got to develop them. and I think what we've seen is when you have on-level talent with good character, it improves, and it improves the people around them too. High-level talent, low character, and they don't get any better, and you get worse around them. So what we've tried to do is get good people in our program. We have good people, we have great families, and there's kind of that like multiplier effect, in terms of, if you incorporate biblical principles in your life, in your program, and you just give it time, like it's going to grow.
Yeah.
And so with a lot of it's been the right people, right families, and so when you have that strong family core as a team in terms of like this is how a family operates, your problems become a lot more manageable, and you just grow, and so we've been really able to grow in every area we've been able to grow, and it's been God's timing, but it's been and I just have to make sure that I do acknowledge, like, I've had some great assistant coaches that have helped us, and James Batten was the first person to help us get going, and then year 2 we added Cliff Bartosh, who's been great, and Chris Simprom, who's been great, who I kind of knew Chris a little bit when I was in New York. I'd recruited players from him in Texas, and Coach Tharp and Drew Edwards. Like we've been very fortunate with the people who've been here to help develop our talent. Trey Ritz. I mean, I'm going to forget people. Jesse Nunez is here now, and Kevin Early, who was a player for me in New York, who served as pitching coach for the past year and a half. So we've been really fortunate to have great people in our program helping develop and retain those guys. Because if you aren't developing your team, like, you're not going to retain them, and then you're going to have to do the whole recruiting process over again. So we want to get on-level talent, retain and develop, and we want to get people with good character who understand. We ask that question, what kind of kid is he? And we try to get not just, okay, this kid's talented, but hopefully, and most of the time it's, we know someone who knows him that can speak about what kind of person that we're bringing into, our program.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't hurt Texas.
No, it does not. It does not. This is DFW. It's like our roster. I mean, my whole recruitment philosophy. Like, I've been here for 5 years. Everything that I did in New York did not translate down here. Like, when I went to New York, I flew to Texas, I flew to Florida, I recruited in California, I recruited in Arizona. I went to all these different places to get all these different players. And now that I'm in Texas, we stay in Texas.
Yeah.
We get a couple California transplants, and I don't want to. The migration from California has impacted baseball as well. We have a couple California guys, Craig Venable and Tim Compamese, and Kyle Coolidge was one of our original California transplants. But I think that's an area that we could continue to pull from in the future as well. But I'd say 90% of our roster is Texas guys, and a good amount of our guys are 90 minutes from campus. Yeah,
it's nice.
Yep, it's good.
So you're also AD here at SAGU.
Assistant. I want to make it clear.
Assistant AD.
Dr. Gotting is way too busy. He works constantly.
And that's not something you want, is what I was trying to say.
I feel like I work constantly too, but I feel like his job is way harder.
Yeah. Well, he teased me last week. So I mentioned, I meant to say back-to-back SAC AD of the year, right? Yeah. But I just said 2-time, and he said, well, 3-time, but
he did it in a more humble way.
He did a lot more humble way, reminding me that he was a 3-time.
No, he's tremendous in terms of people to learn from and have everything in order and have their systems for doing things. Like, I've learned a ton from Dr. Gotting, and he's a great boss to work for. Even if he's not listening to this, he's hopefully he's not, because he doesn't take compliments well. But he's a very good administrator here and a good example for our coaching staff. And he's somebody who he wants the programs to succeed, and he's trying, and he desperately tries to equip the coaches with what they need to be successful here.
It's good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you being with us tonight, but you're not off the hook, because we're going to embarrass you with some trivia.
All right,
We've got a few questions. We're going to do that here in just a minute. But first, we appreciate our sponsor, VCR Now. And so JB, our producer, is here to tell us more.
Texans love doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools around the state. It's also why VCR Now is so proud to promote their brand on this broadcast. Driven by producing quality LED video boards, state-of-the-art audio and video production systems at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs as an athletic department before recommending the best next steps. Building great products is their business. From their 24/7, 365 help desk, the training lab in their hometown of Red Oak, and a sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of the athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. When you come into the Schaefer Center to watch basketball this week, check out the double-sided LED scoreboard provided by VCR Now. For more information, visit vcrnow.com.
All right. Thank you, JB. All right, Coach Matt, are you ready? Trivia time.
Is this general trivia or is
It's
this
baseball.
trivia?
This is baseball. This is going to be
what are we
right
talking
in
about?
your wheelhouse.
Mainly Major League.
Major
but,
League. Yeah, not college.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, we'll
it's
do
going
what
to be.
we can.
Here we go.
If
All
it
right.
was Pittsburgh Pirates trivia, I'd be your guy.
We
but-
wouldn't do that on purpose.
No,
there you go.
no,
All right.
no.
Well, what do
Okay.
you got?
Number one. Let's see how many you get right here.
Okay.
Against what opposing team did Babe Ruth hit his first career home run? How many?
I don't got that. I would guess he came up with the Orioles, right?
Well, I'm just going to give you a hint. He played with the Boston Red Sox at that time when he did.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yankees.
Yankees is correct.
All right.
There you go. May 6, 1915. He was later traded to the Yankees for a mere $125,000. Wow. All right. Who was the first major league player to pitch a ball over 100 miles an hour? I'm going to give you multiple choice. Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, Tom Seaver, or Dwight Gooden.
I'm saying Nolan.
It was Nolan. That's right. 1974, September 7th against the White Sox, or when he was playing for the White Sox. He broke it at 100.8. But, they later found out that when they were using the radar guns back in the day.
It's much harder. It's much harder.
So it was actually much faster than it was recorded. So there you go. Who was nicknamed Mr. November? Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, Reggie Jackson, or David Ortiz?
Well, that's Reggie Jackson is Mr. October, so it's Jeter, correct?
It is Jeter. Very
Wow,
good.
3 out of 3.
Yeah, it was the first November series, right? It was
Yes.
Arizona and
Yeah.
Arizona and the Yankees. That's my wife's team.
Captain Clutch and Mr. November. Yeah, there you go. All right. He had a .321 batting average in the World Series that year when he was playing. So that's pretty cool.
It's interesting because when I was looking up these questions, and I thought I would try to answer them, and for some reason I went with Reggie, but you're right. Reggie was
Mr.
October.
October. Yeah, Mr. October.
That's pretty cool. All right, in the modern era, what pitcher holds the record for most strikeouts in a season? Randy Johnson, Nolan Ryan, Bob Fellers, or Andy Koufax?
I'm going Randy Johnson. Is that right? It's either him or Nolan.
You're wrong.
Who was it?
It's Nolan.
Nolan.
Yeah, in 1973, Nolan Ryan set his first major record when he struck out 383 batters in one season, beating Sandy Koufax's old mark by 1. This is kind of neat. Koufax later joked, and he also surpassed my total for bases on balls in a single season by 91. So anyway, he said, I suspect half of those guys he struck out swung rather than getting hit. And then who was the youngest major league player player to win the MVP? Was it Bryce Harper, Vida Blue, Johnny Bench, or Stan Musial?
Bryce Harper. Who's that other?
Vida Blue, Johnny Bench, or Stan Musial?
I want to say I don't think Bryce Harper won it that young, but he started so young too. So I'm going to say it's either Johnny Bench or Bryce Harper. I'll go. Not close, huh?
Vida Blue.
Vida Blue.
1971 became the youngest player, 22 years, 64 days, in Major League Baseball history to win the MVP. That's pretty neat. That name sticks out to me, but you don't think about him much.
No.
It sounds like a bottled water.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, you got all but 2, right?
Yeah.
Was it 2 out of 2?
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Yeah,
All right.
That's good.
Batting 600.
Congratulations.
Or a D average. D average.
That's right. Well, we got to close the show. So
We do have to close the show. Well,
James?
who's your favorite Major League Baseball team, by the way? Just throw it out there.
I am forever a Pirate fan.
Pirate
I
fan.
cannot detach myself from that,
right.
for good or bad.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that means he's not rooting for Philadelphia at the Super Bowl.
yeah. See, the Philadelphia fans, like, they hate the Eagles more. Like, it's like the Philadelphia, like, they're the most self-loathing fans ever, and so, like, you almost like want them to win, so they don't hate themselves. You know what I mean? Because it's like they're just sitting. It's similar, a little bit similar to Cowboys, but they're just like, I told you this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knew this was going to happen.
Not Mr. Positive, but
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Well, thanks so much, Coach, for
Thank you
being
guys
with
thank you
us.
for having me,
Yeah. Faith in Sports is a broadcast property of SAGU. It's a Christian university located in Waxahachie, Texas, and has over 70 undergraduate and graduate degrees, including on campus and online options. Faith in Sports is sponsored by VCRNow.com. Visit sagu.edu for more information. Also, stay up to date with all things Sagu at sagulions.com.